I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Hi, y'all. It's Amir Yasai. I'm here with Brian and Ollie for Gay Twitter for AfterBuzz TV. We're so excited to be back. It's so exciting to be here during Pride and obviously the BLM movement. It's amazing. I just wanted to take a quick moment to say that I stand in solidarity with all of my Black co-hosts at AfterBuzz TV. I'm so proud and in awe of everyone's strength and amazing, like just everything amazingness from A to Z through this movement. And I love all of their voices, and I'm just so here for all of them. Just wanted to say that before we jump right in to what we have. So right off the top, we have White Hollywood striking again, honey, striking while the iron is hot. They are getting canceled left, up, and center. We're going to get into that. We're going to talk about, do TikTok stars need to address the BLM protests in their feeds or not? We're going to get some feedback. I do want to talk about Spongebob, honey. Spongebob SquarePants.
My king, my literal king. Queen. She's my queen, but okay, queen. We'll say queen.
A little quink moment. Who would have known there was a lot going on in those shorts, honey, those square pants.
Goodbye.
Patrick Starwood. Starwood.
Yes. Come on.
Oh,
we love a dumb hottie. That's literally my gig. It's like a dumb hot guy. Well, Patrick Star's not hot, but it's just, the dumb part of it. But, that's probably SpongeBob's gig.
Oh my God. Y'all are too much. So we're going to dissect all of that. It's too much. We love Nickelodeon for standing with us during Pride. It's amazing. The Kardashians have been suspiciously silent in the first week of BLM. So I want to break that down. BET.com did a great article, really doing a nice timeline on exactly which sister spoke when. So we're going to dissect that. I do need to drag Madonna again, because that's kind of on my LinkedIn profile at this point. So we're going to do a little Madonna dragging. We do need to talk about, we're going to get Pop Diva Dish. We're going to let Brian take that away. I'm not even going to say more. And Ollie as well is going to have the read all about it segment. I'm just not going to say more about that. And then we're going to, just jump in. It's going to be the three of us keying. So let's go right at the top. Let's start with White Hollywood, Hanny. So if you've been living under a rock, you might have missed this video. I take responsibility. Let me put on my Sarah Paulson glasses and say, I take responsibility. So I really want to know what y'all think about all of these white celebrities getting together. I should say white celebrities plus Kesha doing blackface, but we're going to get into all of it. So I really want to dissect all of that. Brian, I'm going to start with you because you're making faces. So what are your thoughts?
Okay, so just to preface today's episode, when I was looking through our topics, I feel like I might have a different opinion than both of you for most of them. So I'm going to kind of give the devil's advocate. So for this, what I would say is, just to kind of preface, when I was reading through and kind of researching, I learned that it was in partnership with the NAACP.
Yes,
so I would say that they should have ran this by. If NAACP was involved, then the white people can't be held accountable. If that makes sense, don't cancel me. But that's all I would say is, like, if the NAACP backed this, they knew they were in production and they understood what they were doing, then I would assume that it would be okay with them. That's all I'm going to say. But that's just where I would say that I kind of that's my devil's advocate point, because obviously everyone on gay Twitter was like, no, this was stupid. This was not it. Very much like Imagine. And I can see that 1,000,000%. But my only kind of gripe, or my only disagreement with that is, if the NAACP was involved, then I would imagine that they would be okay with it. So I'm just
absolutely
no. Move on.
No, it's a really great point you're made, actually, because a lot of people said that on Twitter as well, that the NAACP was involved. But I think it's not that they were involved, which is great, but it was the verbiage was all perfect. It was more the delivery and the overacting. So like Aaron Paul being like, police brutality, and it's like the actors were trying to win an Emmy by being in this commercial. I think that's what more the issue was.
That makes
Ollie,
sense.
what are your thoughts about?
Definitely, I love to hear that, the devil's advocate, but at the same time, yeah, it is kind of we don't need this kind of performance that some of these actors gave, and it's hard. It's disheartening because I do really value some of these. I look up to some of these actors, like Kristen Bell, Sarah Paulson, Kesha. She's awesome. I always loved her music. So, but And Alana Glazer, who does so much for the community, by the way. She's like such an activist. I love her on Two Broke Girls. Or no, what's it called? Oh my God, Broad City. Oh my God, wrong girl. I'm thinking about Kat Denning. Sorry.
We love Kat Denning
but
too,
still,
though.
like I love that they're in partnership with it. They're trying to promote, change and support this organization and just use their platforms. But we just didn't need this. We didn't need the montage of it because it looked like, okay, what's my line? Okay, let me try. Scene. Like it just felt like a performance. Yeah. It didn't feel like it was coming from the heart. But I know at the end of the day, none of these people are allies, and it's coming from a good place. So I don't want to necessarily drag them. But at the same time, I remember we mentioned this last week too. It just felt very unnecessary. I'd rather them just like promote with their platform where you can donate more resources to get involved from the safety of your home, rather than this. I keep calling it a performance because that's what it felt like. But
right, it was very performative. And like one of the reasons I wanted to kind of go back to it was that a lot of people online, there was a lot of white actors who had spoken up and said like, we wanted to be more involved and we wanted to be in the video. And it felt like now people were feeling like, oh, I'm not being included in this video, and I'm being like, people were no one said discrimination, but the undertone of what these white actors were saying that like, why weren't we asked to do it? And a gay comedian online was so funny. He retorted and said, well, it looks like a lot of these actors are putting up their own cameras on their $15,000 bookcases, putting it in black and white and thinking that it's deep. Like it was really funny. Yeah.
Black and white filter really kind of was just like, what?
I don't understand. Like, and some of the verbiage, like Stanley Tucci said, like, I'm no longer going to let people say racist jokes. Like, why were you allowing it before? Like,
right.
Some of that was a little problematic. Or a lot of people came for Sarah Paulson, who lives in a gated community in Bel Air, and they were like, she's like, I can't imagine running and not feeling safe. Well, why would you feel unsafe? There was just a lot of tone deafness to it.
Right.
A bummer. But again, I don't want people out there who are white and are allies to feel like, oh, I can't do anything now. Like you can still speak up, but I just think it's important to be a bit more intentional. Right. What do you guys, before we move on, I'm wondering like, what do you in your life as queer people, what has for you guys been a good ally? Like when someone is straight and an ally to us, like what does that look like?
Oh God.
I think honestly, I think someone who's just practicing allyship and showing support of LGBTQIA plus lives, like all throughout the year, like just don't like give notice to our community only during June, like someone who's constantly like speaking up, whether that's on social media or in real life, like to me, that's a true ally who's constantly supporting us, not just during Pride Month, because I know people are great, like, but it just definitely for me personally, real quick, just it grinds my gears a little bit when people are only speaking up during Pride Month, because I don't know, that's just my opinion. I think it speaks more and it's truthful and more genuine coming from like all year, like January, March, December, speak up about our community and be an ally all throughout the year.
Well, I think Ollie's saying basically we're gay all year. We're not only gay every day, the month of June.
Every day is Pride.
And October 31st.
We're very gay on that day. We're very gay on that day, absolutely. And the Oscars are our gay, Super Bowl. So absolutely, we have a lot of moments. Let's move on to something fun because I know we're all really into talking about SpongeBob. So I love SpongeBob. So Nickelodeon, I woke up and I saw a tweet from Nickelodeon. It was basically like SpongeBob was in some hella gay shorts, and I was like, he's gay. And it was so amazing and I was so into it. But I want us to get excited, but I also want to address the fact that now they're saying he might be gay and they're kind of a little backtracking. So whoever feels most inspired, I think it's Bryant who's most excited. So we'll start with you. Why don't you tell us how exciting it was first, and then we'll get to the news.
So the reason this was so exciting for me, because SpongeBob is my be-all end-all cartoon. Since I was a little kid, he was it for me. I even think that he's non-binary. They were it for me because I feel like they are like amazing. I just love SpongeBob so much. I connected with him on so many levels growing up, and I always had this feeling, and I do believe I saw an article where the creator said that he was actually asexual at one point. So that was already kind of out there in the world, but it wasn't really addressed. So when they released basis on Pride really taking ownership and really acknowledging like, hey, he is a member of the community, you know, somehow LGBTQ, whether it be he's full on gay or he is queer. So I was just over the moon thrilled, excited to hear that. But it's funny that you mentioned that, Amir, because I didn't notice that kind of backtracking. And I hope that it isn't their intention, or I hope that that's not what they're trying to do to, you know, appease the haters of people that were obviously not as thrilled as I was for SpongeBob being of the LGBTQ community. So I hope that's not what it is. And I hope they're just trying to clarify maybe his status. But just overall, to answer your question, I was thrilled to see them take ownership of that and to talk about the people on their network, the cartoons, the actors, anybody who's part of this community, especially during Pride Month.
Absolutely. No, really well said. I think the hate that they're getting, a lot of it's coming from the council of like moms and dads. I can't remember. They're like someone that basically comes and like, they're like, oh, there was kissing here. There's too much sex there. They're canceling everyone. And I think they're just coming after this whole thing.
That's so stupid. When has there ever been a sex scene on SpongeBob?
Literally, never. He just minds his damn business, flips his burgers. That's all he wants to do is cook and get his damn. See, I can't drive or do math, and SpongeBob is the same way. So you know what? He just wanted to get his damn license. I want to get my damn license too.
Right. Yeah. If he's gay, that's great. If he's not, if he's asexual, that's also great. He's still part of the community.
Exactly.
It was from Stephen Hillenburg. Rest in peace, King. I love you so much. Thank you for introducing SpongeBob to the world. But yeah, Nickelodeon, I hope it is continuing to be more inclusive, because with the tweet, they turned off, I remember they turned off all the comments and whatnot, or I forget if it was on Instagram, but
yeah, you couldn't reply to the tweet. Yeah.
But also they, with that tweet, they had a picture of Korra from Legend of Korra, who's bisexual. But back in the day, I love that show. I love Avatar: Last Airbender. With Korra, Nickelodeon, a lot of fans were upset with Nickelodeon because they thought like, oh, the show is led by a female, it won't do well. And then they felt like the show was constantly like disrupted because it was put online sometimes, and that like they even rushed her bisexual storyline. So even then, a lot of fans were like happy with, you know, SpongeBob, the inclusion of him being in the community, but they were still upset that like, oh, Nickelodeon is now giving attention to Legend of Korra, which was such a great series, but also very rushed. And so I hope that they just realize they're wrong and they continue to be more inclusive with diversity moving forward. So it's good, but also some fans felt a little sting by, you know, past Korean antics.
Sure.
I just want to mention that real quick, because it wasn't
I love it.
You know, but we love, I love that they even just took ownership of just including SpongeBob in it. So
absolutely. And Ollie, what you're saying has a lot, like it's a lot deeper than people might even know, because the fact is SpongeBob in the photo is bigger than the bisexual and the trans man who transitioned, actor Michael D. Cohen, who transitioned from female to male 2 decades ago. They're getting a smaller percentage of the press. A lot of it's SpongeBob. So it kind of goes back to the LGBTQ. The G gets a lot of the traction in the media, and the bisexual, the trans, you're not getting a lot. So that was really astute what you said, because it is, if there was one person in the office who was really woke about LGBTQ issues, could have spoken up. But you know, that's why we need more inclusion.
And just include more queerness in children's media. It's not that difficult. If you did include more children's media with queer subjects and themes and characters, there wouldn't be this outcry from parents. And what's the big deal? Like this, they're not going to give actual sex within the children's shows. So if you just like shed light and educate children, there wouldn't be this hate, you know? So just
I wish we can get to a point where I won't have to be excited about SpongeBob coming out, because he just is. Any kind of LGBT, you know, presence is just there. That's just how it is. It's not some big hoopla, because it should just be normalized in the media.
Absolutely. The three of us are super, super gay, but being gay is the least interesting thing about every single one of us. So the fact that that defining this idea that like everyone has so much depth, the fact that we are always boiled down to our sexualities is, SpongeBob is so wacky and wearing fucking square pants, and I think him being gay is the least interesting thing. He's the best, but like him being gay is the least interesting thing about him. He's like flipping burgers and living his best life. That's amazing. I love that. Like it was definitely great, but it does open up that conversation that needs to kind of be deeper. I do want to pivot back to BLM real quick. I want to talk about the Kardashians. So they, you know, posted quite late. So Kris Jenner posted 2 days after George Floyd's murder, and she spelled, instead of breathe, she said, "I can't breath." So it was very rushed. It felt very, not intentional. And a lot of people were upset because if you don't watch the Kardashians, they appropriate Black culture a lot with hairstyles and fashion. And a lot of them have dated Black men, have children who are biracial. So it's very interesting that they would keep so quiet. So the next person after that was Kylie, and it was almost 5 or 4 days later. And then Kim was 5 days later, someone who is literally going to law school, according to her, to help the Black community. So I'm just curious what y'all think about this delay. When I posted on Twitter, a lot of people were like, don't give people timelines and how dare you hold like Kardashians accountable. But I'm curious as to what y'all think.
Ooh, so I will start and I'll say, I love the Kardashian Jenners. But when I read this article, it definitely was very enlightening, very eye-opening to the fact that, yes, I 1000 see that person's point that, talk to you about timeliness, because I feel like, yes, that is very, very true. People can kind of post or support, I guess, I don't know what to say, like kind of, on their own time. There shouldn't be some kind of rush or this kind of thing, But at that same token, like you mentioned, they are so invested, even more than the fact that they, they're part of the Black culture with the things they do. They're biracial children. That should have been their first instinct, to want to support, want to reach out, and want to use their voice for something. That should have been the biggest instinct that they had. So I 1000% see how this could be very, very because like, yes, they have such a social presence, and the fact that they went radio silent for so long, when they are such a big part of this culture and they think they are, or their children are, it was really hard to see.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because especially since, as you mentioned, they are so social media orientated with their selfies and with their products, their sponsorships, whatever. I feel like not even just them, they're probably they were in fear of like, oh, I'm going to lose followers or brands or investments, whatever. And I just feel like it would show so much more genuine heart from them if they were to just post as soon as possible, if it really meant something to them,
Right.
And I know not, but like, here's the thing, like, off topic, I know not everyone is all constantly on social media, but I know these girls are.
They are. When you have, like, the family has 1 billion followers, 1 billion, not a million, and it's like, 1 billion.
That's crazy. And you just think like of Black Lives Matter going into so many people's homes through their social media and seeing, George Floyd and seeing them speak up about this. It really just shows like, even just one person seeing something could really possibly potentially change their mind, educate them. You never know what you might post. It can make a difference in someone else's life and their viewpoint.
Absolutely.
And so it's really surprising just knowing, especially with Kim, like, I don't think Kim's a bad person. I don't want to drag the Kardashians.
No.
But like, Kim, like,
I love them.
You're doing so much great things with, getting into the law and helping the Black community. So
yeah.
Why did it take so long, especially since they're on social media so often?
Yeah. What I would say,
also
I'm not trying to,
oh,
sorry, Mary, go ahead.
No. All I was going to say is, like, if you're going to do it, then don't misspell the word Kris Jenner. Yeah. Like, that's the thing where I was upset about.
Especially since they seem a little bit overly produced, because
yes, that's what I was about to say. I was like, I'm sure they had to run things by so many people, their publicists, their team, and there's not one person on their giant team that said, oh girl, that's not right. Like, literally. So I feel like even with their social media presence, while they have it on their phone, I feel like they still run things by their team. So that's even another thing. Like, why did no one from their team let them know, like, hey, come on, just post something, post anything in support. That's all you had to do.
Absolutely, especially when Kris Jenner's own boyfriend is a Black man. So, like, it would be, I don't know, it just behooves me, like, to also make a point that's deeper, even with Kim's children. Kim's children are not going to be Armenian and white. They're going to be Black children in America. That's the fact. When you're biracial, you're always going to be Black first. And I have a lot of friends who are biracial, and they always joke that the Black comes into the room first, because even with queer people, our gayness enters the room before we do, and people have these preconceived notions. Gay people are dramatic. So many meetings I've had where they've said, oh, you're not as dramatic as I thought. Be dramatic in a business setting. Like, I'm dramatic at, like, RuPaul's Drag Race viewing parties, honey.
Yes.
Like, so there's a lot of that. So I'm happy that they spoke up, and I think it's great. And Kanye West has donated almost $2 million. I'm not like dragging any of the people in the Kardashian family because they've given lots of money and they've really brought a lot of attention to it. But at the same time, like, you know, people are really jumping on this bandwagon and a lot of TikTokers are posting about it and it's not genuine. One of the TikTokers posted very fake, oh, Black Lives Matter, but like with no expression, when he's very expressive usually. And, you know, Charlie D'Amelio did that and Addison Rae, they've all done it, but it's all very like empty. And even Madison Beer right now has been, if you guys don't know who Madison Beer is, she was actually on RuPaul's Celebrity. You know her?
She was on this week's too.
I loved her until I heard she got canceled. I literally was like in love with her.
Damn, what? Oh my God. I was not aware.
So pretty. She's so pretty.
She's so pretty. I love her. And I love her and Selena Gomez's relationship. Like, I'm so here for it. But she basically has been accused of hiring paparazzi to shoot photos of her at BLM protests. So that's pretty bad. I want to
also this week had the Lolita situation.
Oh yes, there was a Lolita situation as well. She kind of defended the pedophile. It's not good. It's not good. It's a lot of bad stuff around that. So I want to know what you guys think about these empty kind of bandwagon jumping, even with Pride. I know a lot of people that were very anti-LGBTQ or diversity that I've worked with, being, you know, a publicist in Hollywood, are now posting about Pride. I'm like, you didn't want to meet me because I was gay, and now you're so emotional about Pride. So I want to know what you guys think about these empty bandwagons.
Hashtags. I feel like hashtags, it's what's trending. Everyone wants to join. Everyone wants to jam in. Everyone wants to join in the what's trending on Twitter. And like, even I like go on trends. I want to see but like when I go on trends, I look and see what's happening in the news, you know? These trends aren't something to get more followers or to get more notoriety or more credit for yourself. It's to actually make a difference and to spread awareness for whether it's Black Lives Matter or Pride Month, you know, showing your support for Black trans people, Black queer lives. Like, it's not about you. Like, this is actually something very important. So I just think it's, I don't know. And also I'm just annoyed with TikTok, with even like their whole controversy with some of the Black Lives Matter being taken down or not posted and whatnot. I know there was controversy with that. And then like, even, you know, we've talked about this before, right, Amir, with gay stuff being taken down. So at this point, I'm like, I should just delete my TikTok. I'm never even on it. It's just frustrating to show solidarity, but I don't know. That's just my viewpoint. It's just all trends. It's frustrating. I know not everyone on TikTok and on Instagram and Twitter is like utilizing it for more credit for themselves and likes and whatnot. Yeah. But it's frustrating, you know, actually trying to be the best ally I can be, and also being queer myself in this struggle, in this time set that we're in. It's just been very, you know, uncomfortable for a lot of us.
Yeah.
Very smart. It's just being intentional a little bit. I think even with hashtags, like I was hashtagging all of my TikTok videos with BLM, and I was like, this video is not about Black Lives Matter, so don't hashtag it. Because I knew that I was going to get the views, and I was like, I don't feel good. And I know it's not a big step, but it's a small step. And I think we can make those moves. It's just a matter of like, do we want to make those moves? And do we want to listen? Like, I think a lot of, and even when we're talking about the I Take Responsibility video, and even like, we'll get to Madonna, a lot of celebrities, even when people chime up, like even Black people saying like, that's not cool, or queer people or Middle Eastern people, they explain it instead of deleting it. They just are like, that was not my intention, you know, like,
yeah.
I don't know. I think that.
Here's what I'll say to you. Well, really quick, I want to shout out the chat because we have some friends in the chat. So hi, Zoe Johnson, Peyton Stark, and Cyril Moore. We love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. They had some amazing insight about Spongebob and everything we talked about. Ollie Peyton loves Cora too, so we love that. But really quick, I want to chime in on that whole thing. I 1000% agree about, you know, just these empty posts. What I will say though, again, to play the devil's advocate, there is a way for, you know, we always talk about people changing. And I think when you do post these things in light of, you know, a changed perspective or a new idea that you have, you should acknowledge that. So if these people who were formerly homophobic or made formerly racist statements posting during Pride Month or posting, they should acknowledge and say, hey, I'll take full ownership that before I said something stupid and I don't agree with what I said in the past, but I think that I'm changing. I'm thinking I'm moving in the right direction. So this is what I feel now. So I feel like that is the right way to do it, because I 100% agree with you guys are saying that when you just post something in support of Pride Month, when we know you have these former views, it's not going to come across in any way, shape, or form to anybody.
Well said. I usually hate when anyone takes a devil's advocate move because I'm like, ugh. But I'm just loving the devil's advocate angle. Like it's really, I think it's
I'm a
great
devil.
A lot of people.
My last name is Santos, but I'm a devil.
Oh my God, you're right, Santos. Like I never thought
I'm
about
not
that.
a saint.
We do love a role play here and there.
Yes, a pack.
I love a role play. There was actually a guy running earlier today when I went to get my Starbucks, and he had tattoos all over, and I would role play with him for days. Anyways, that's not the point. We got to move on. Before I get messy, let's get to Madonna before we get to our special segment. Madonna is in hot water again. So she had her son dance to Michael Jackson's song. It kind of went viral on Twitter. And listen, George, his dancing's amazing. It's not the point. The point is the response. I always look to Twitter to be like, am I crazy for thinking this is weird? And then Twitter always gets you. So someone commented, wow, racism is gone. Thank you, girl. And I loved the depth of sarcasm and all of that because Madonna said, we're dancing racism away. So what are y'all thoughts on this?
I always want to be sarcastic sometimes, but then I'm like, oh, I don't want people to think that I'm actually serious. So, what if someone doesn't get my sarcasm? But Madonna, girl, I don't know about this. I appreciate Madonna. She's a legend. She's an icon. Maybe she's not the moment right now, but and props to her. She's actually going out and protest, but I saw she wasn't wearing a mask. So I'm like, girl, you're also.
Was she in Orange County?
Oh no, Orange County.
God.
Oh, God.
But was she in Riverside County?
I don't know. This pandemic's also gotten to her. We talked about it previously, and I hope Madonna's just well in her head,
Yeah.
I'm wishing her all the best. I know she has good intentions at all times, and her son is just gorgeous and so talented, and I can't wait to see what he's going to do with his career, after this freaking pandemic, when he's older. But yeah, I don't know. Some of these celebrities need to maybe even take suit of the Kardashians, maybe get a little bit more produced and make sure what they post doesn't, because you just can't post something and expect it to just be all rainbows and butterflies when it can have those seeds of kind of problematic, tendencies.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, this is the last time I'm going to play devil's advocate again. But the only thing I would say is because I saw the article again, and some people, I guess it's a small majority, but some people did actually appreciate, and of course, I think they appreciated the sentiment. So again, it's all about delivery. So she was obviously well-intentioned. She wanted to kind of bring some light into the world. But girl, you can't say you're dancing racism away. You can't be dancing to someone who is not the moment right now. So again, Madonna's a queen, like you said, Ollie. We love her, but people just need to be more aware of exactly how you say things, because you can have good intentions, but especially on social media when everything is text, it's going to come across completely differently than what you thought.
Well, now there's voice.
Come on, Twitter voice. She should have went on there and been like, everybody.
Well, listen, I'm loving the whole devil advocate angle, so I'm actually going to play one as well. I think the video would have done well if she got in the video with him. So if she danced with him, we're dancing away racism as a family, I'm like, okay. But when you have a Black man, your son, dancing, and you're videotaping it, and one of the fans said, goosebumps all over me, I feel this, white. Thank you for speaking about this, Madonna. Your voice reaches many, white. David is dancing to the beat of our ancestors who have died fighting racism. Keep expressing yourself for equality. Black Lives Matter. This was a Black user. So I want to make it very clear, when it comes to BLM or queer, pride, etc., there's not always going to be one voice for everyone. So some people are not going to be affected. I have friends who are like, I'm not affected by it. That's not homophobic. And I feel like it is. And racism and homophobia are not always tangible. Sometimes it's a feeling, it's a comment, it's the way a person makes you feel. When a person walks into a boardroom and says hello to everyone there who's all white, and they don't say hello to you, whether you're gay, Middle Eastern, Asian, Black, whatever it may be, if that's the way you feel, that is something.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of people are saying a lot of people are trying to cancel this person for their comment, how dare you, you're Black, why are you speaking at? for Madonna, but that's that person's opinion. So doesn't take away from you feeling racist or you feeling homophobic. Because when I was younger, I used to get really mad. I'm like, it's clearly racist. But I realized as I've gotten older, honey, that like at the end of the day, like it's how I feel. Like if I feel gaslit by someone and it just happens that they are a white cisgendered man, it doesn't mean that it's not happening.
For
Anyways, I'm gonna get off the soapbox.
No, everyone's
I love a soapbox.
We love that. We love
everyone's feelings are valid.
Exactly. That's exactly it. We love.
Absolutely. Another person who I really, really effing love is Pop Diva Dish. Let's do it. Let's get into this.
Yes, I am so excited this week because I have been listening to this queen's music all of quarantine. Absolutely love her. You'll probably know her best from Undrunk. That was the bop of last year. We love that song. So this week's Pop Diva Dish, shout out to Fletcher. Not only does she have amazing music out in the world right now, but she's grinding. She's so young, and she is a member of the queer community, which is absolutely amazing. What's even more amazing, what I really wanted to share was not only is she queer herself, but she's surrounding herself with queer people. Her entire team, her management team, the people she works with, they are LGBT. So I love that so much. She had this really amazing story on Billboard talking about how she's working with them, how they share in their similar coming out stories. So I love her. I love her music. I love her story, and she's amazing. So what do you guys think? Are you guys fans of Fletcher? Do you know her? Do you want to know more? Ollie, what do you think?
Well, I definitely want to know more, especially knowing the fact that she has a full team of queer people. And I think that's really important. Not only like, you want to have, maybe you have a token straight person. I don't know, but it does feel and also like the queer community is just so diverse with colors and sexual orientations and genders. So you're always going to have like a plethora, like a smorgasbord of different viewpoints and voices within your team. So I think that's really like clever. And it definitely wants me to get to know her more, rather than like the top 40 that's always trending, and I'm here for the top 40.
Yes.
But she's definitely one to keep your eyes out, especially during Pride Month. But yeah, definitely shout out to her. I think that's awesome. You can maybe have one straight person on your team.
I know. We gotta have our allies.
I would say your straight ally should be your money managers, because the gays love to spend. I would get a straight money manager, honey, and I would keep him.
It's the iced coffee.
I just bought an espresso machine, literally. I don't have money for an espresso machine. What am I doing?
I'm sure you do with those drapes, honey.
Yes, come on, Amazon.
With the Swarovski crystals embedded. Did you stone those drapes?
I did. I stoned them. I'm giving you my best. God, who stones on Drag Race? I don't even know. They all stone.
Well, didn't she stone that kitten heel on All Stars? Who was that? Alexa?
Yes, because it was so small.
I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, I love Fletcher too. Honestly, I think she's wonderful. I actually fell into a deep hole on her Instagram last night, and I usually DM celebrities or any kind of influencer. I'm like, oh, I want to do a live with you. I want to talk to you. And I literally just said, I'm in awe of you and I'm obsessed with you and I'm a fan. And I just was so dorky. I think she's amazing. I think her music is hilarious. And I didn't even know that Undrunk was, someone queer. So that was really cool.
It's so funny. I was talking to a straight friend about this, and she also loves Fletcher, and maybe because she's queer, so this could be about anybody. But I was telling her, I was like, man, I was vibing to Fletcher's music, like, oh, I hate men; they're the worst. Meanwhile, her music is probably about a woman, so it's like, it's so funny because she does talk in that article, in a couple articles at length about this X, which a lot of her music is about, and she always references they. Like she never says he or she. So we love that. We love how aware she is. So
and that also just creates like inclusivity within your lyrics. I know it's
exactly.
It's okay to be gay, like a gay man, and talk and say like he and him and whatnot, or a woman talking about a lesbian. But also it's cool to have that music that is more like has a gray area tone to it, because everyone can really relate to that,
Yeah,
and feel comfortable. And that's not to take away from anyone's experience, but it does create that inclusivity with her music.
Absolutely. Sure. And she's hot as hell, honey. I'm looking at this photo
love
right
her.
now.
So
very
pretty.
easy, very easy. This photo we have here of like her and all these like, I don't know, even no sand tones. it's like, listen, I'm gay, but this is making me consider the fluid like, she is gorgeous. She's
We
stunning.
live. Yes.
Stunning. I'm so here for her. So I am such a fan and she's amazing.
Yay.
Thank you for sharing that, Brian. That was so fun.
Of course.
So fun.
Thank you.
Of course. And Ollie, are you ready for Read All About It? Tell us.
All right.
What do we do?
Guys,
who are we dragging?
Today, this week, you know, I feel like we've dragged a lot of people, but also it's with love. You know, we want people to open up their minds. We want to educate people. And I just want to take this week in particular to just talk about the influencers that, to me, in my perspective, I don't know if you guys have a different perspective, that are a little bit maybe taking advantage of the BLM movement. You know, we've seen the videos of influencers in the wild with them being, you know, with their photo ops at protests, taking pictures at the protests for their Instagram, for the IG. And to me, and of course, they're hashtagging Black Lives Matter. And I know there's probably some good intentions with a lot of them, but from my perspective, I just feel like, why do you have to do these photo shoots at protests? If you're going to go to a protest, go protest, have a great time. They're very exhilarating. I went to one in Palm Springs last Monday, and it felt so great just being a part of my community where I'm from. I haven't been in LA for over a month, but it's such a great feeling. You take pictures. This is a part of history, you know, like take pictures of the crowd, take pictures of the signs, take pictures of just the moment, and videos as well. But to kind of insert yourself as like the focal point in like some of your posts, and to just, you know, with your sign and have your face showing, it defeats the purpose a little bit. And with the hashtag Black Lives Matter, you want people to go use it and to find resources and maybe other videos, you know, not you, a white person, you know, someone who's a non-POC. And it just kind of, like I said, it defeats the purpose, and it just infuriates me a little bit, because you're taking away from the Black voices that need to be amplified at this moment. So I don't know, what do you guys think of seeing some of these videos of the photo shoots happening at some of these protests?
Yes. Yeah, I 100% agree. Most of them really like grinded my gears. When I saw that first one, it was like she literally just pulled up to the curb, got into the shot like she was fixing the boarding up, and then split. Like, oh my God, girl, like to be that like unaware. I'm so happy that somebody caught that on tape, because what if someone didn't, and this whole time she's painting this picture, this person is painting this picture that she is out there on the front lines helping. So if I 100% agree with you, Ollie, that sometimes it really is tone deaf, and sometimes people are really just like inserting themselves and making them the focal point of these protests. But I feel like even more than that, when you do those kind of things that are just so ignorant, like really taking advantage of the situation, that's when it just like, that takes me over the edge, because that is so not okay in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. That all, like, listen, for me, what stood out was that one white girl in like a summer dress where she's taking a photo shoot. You know, she's getting that poor Instagram boyfriend to take a picture of her, or some stranger, and she's looking like she's involved. But I'm like, why are you wearing a summer dress at a protest? Like, that's what I would comment on the Instagram. There's so much tone deafness. Like, you know, a lot of the people on TikTok, like MUA, who's a really queer, he has a huge platform. He's like a queer makeup artist. He said a lot of racially charged things. Jeffree Star has, as well as, I forgot her name, something Lee. She tweeted a couple years ago, if you pulled your pants up, Black men would be able to get away from the police easier. And now she's posting about BLM. What's the disconnect? And when I said that, one of her fans told me that she's apologized and already been canceled and she's moving forward. And I'm like, but that statement it's hard to get past that. And then now you're like this, I don't know, just for me, and maybe I'm not like emotionally developed enough, but when someone says something like that and then turns around and is then using the movement to get likes, I had a really famous Black graphic designer was like, people are using my artwork and my Breonna Taylor artwork and not giving me credit. And they're putting it, and they're getting millions of views, millions of likes. If you're using Black art, Black writing, Black etc. about the BLM movement, you better motherfucking give them credit.
Right.
But anyways, that's like, you need to give people credit where credit is due, because I think that it just comes off very callous, because it seems like you're trying to profit off of what a group of people have been through. And I saw a lot of celebrities, like really big celebrities who got like millions of views, posting like the drone video. Like they weren't at the protest, but they posted the drone footage of the Hollywood protest, which is really beautiful. But you're saying that like we're all in this together, but you weren't there. And like, how are you in it together?
And you're not,
you know?
And that's someone else's footage that's not yours. And like you said, going back, you want to always like, I feel like in this time that we're in, we want to amplify those Black voices right now, especially if it's a Black artist, you know, where it's like, we're not trying to bring attention to ourselves. We're not trying to get likes for ourselves. We're trying to get likes for the movement and the purpose of the movement.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely,
you can find your way in the movement too, and like what resonates with you. Because I think I've had friends that are like, I don't want to be insensitive, and I'm like, then find something in the movement. Like for me personally, not that like BLM is so paramount, but for me, what I found is bringing attention around Black trans murders as well. So within the BLM movement, I'm also amplifying that, but I'm also amplifying that as well. So I feel like Amir as a person is also getting something out of it. I'm like bringing attention to that issue. So find something within the movement that resonates with you. If it's amplifying Black creators, do that. Like you don't have to go to a protest to be involved. Like I just want to make that clear for people who can't or don't feel like they want to go to a protest. There's other ways to be involved.
Yeah, because like some people can't even go because of whether it's a physical condition, whether they're immune deficient, whether they have a mental disorder, whether, you know, it's scary because on top of this, we're still in a pandemic and like, you know, not everyone feels safe at a protest, you know. But it's nice to see that these protests have been, everyone's basically been wearing a mask, and now that it's kind of like a prior, it's like now today I think it was announced that you have to wear a mask in California. So that's great because it's so scary, you know. It's just scary because the second wave, I feel like it's approaching. I feel like it's coming.
We're looking at you, Orange County, Riverside County. What else is there?
Well, I mean, there was a group of people in Orange County who actually went. I call them the Karens and the Kyles of Orange County. They all went and they said that, and it was crazy. If you watch the video, it's on Now This News. They go and they're advertising about not wearing a mask, and they're using BLM like language that you're on our neck, you're kneeling on our neck, we can't breathe. Like, so there's a lot of charged stuff, but I'm happy that the new health inspector stepped up and was like, we need to wear masks. So happy about that. We have a little more time. I just had 2 more topics real quick that I wanted to run by y'all. Okay, first, this really blew my mind because Jay Pharoah, he's an SNL alum. He's so famous. He is a Black man that most people in the entire US know him by face. So the fact that he was stopped about a month before Ahmaud Arbery was gunned down, he was also kneeled on his neck in Bel Air, and there's actually footage of the LAPD. So he just released that on his Twitter, I believe last week. And he was like, the reason I waited so long was because I didn't want to take away from George Floyd and the movement. So he's like, I just want to tell my story because if I wasn't famous, I would have been killed. So I really kind of want to know what y'all think about this. And if you know Jay Pharoah, because he's done a lot of amazing impressions on SNL and is like a multimillionaire. And I'm not saying that having money or fame should protect you, but he's saying it did. So very interesting.
Oh gosh.
I think, cause like, I don't want to take away from his experience. Cause like, I don't know when the footage was released. Like on the positive side, I'm glad that like the silver lining in this whole movement is that people are now feeling safe to talk about like their experience, whether they've been discriminated, whether they've been beaten, and all of these really hard to watch videos are coming out. Like there was a woman who was tossed in the trash or the dumpster. I don't know if you guys saw that trending on Twitter. It was terrible in DC. So it's nice that people are trying to like feel comfortable and safe to kind of share their experiences. But yeah, like I guess my question is like, when did the footage get released? You know, because like in a sense, like I almost wish that because it happened a week before Floyd's murder, right?
No, a week before Ahmaud Arbery. So back in February. So this is old. Like he's held on to this for a good amount of time.
So he didn't want to take away from Ahmaud's.
Yes, exactly.
And he survived. Okay, that changes my perspective a little bit. Because I was going to say then, why did you wait too late? But also there's the whole thing about like, he was afraid of like taking away, you know, that attention from something that's very important, where a Black man was actually gunned down just for jogging. So, but it just goes to show that like, there's just more cases. There's more cases that people aren't talking about enough. You know, when I went to my protest, I learned of Rashad Cunningham in Gary, Indiana, and he was gunned down and no one's talking about it. You know, he was unlawfully
There's
killed.
a lot of stories.
And like Breonna Taylor, for crying out loud, I know that's like a name that's super trending right now, and it's very important that. But yeah, like, why aren't her murderers, like, why aren't they arrested? So there's just all these stories that we're not even talking about, or they're not getting enough attention to, you know? So it just.
Well, right, because they're saying like, oh, well, she had drugs in her apartment. That doesn't matter. Have you seen how the DEA treats white meth heads and drug dealers? They handcuff them and they take care of them. They give them water. So like, the fact of the matter is, seeing that is, again, so systemic, racist, and it's so deep. And I think a lot of people are missing the mark on that. And what he said, which was really interesting, Jay Pharoah, was that like, he was worried that he was going to lose deals and seem difficult and seem aggressive for like exposing the cops. There's a lot of, it's weird. Like, Hollywood is so weird because it's so white, straight men, and it's such a boys club. And then it's so in line with the police department. Because back in the day, like in the show Hollywood on Netflix, they kind of talked about it a little bit, but the cops were really involved with the Hollywood producers with indecency laws. And there was a lot that went in to really, I lost you guys. There was a lot indecency laws that came into play that the cops in Hollywood have really been on each other's side. So there is a lot that's deeper that and even like the Oscars now is trying to be diverse, right? But instead of like actually, you know, they finally did it. They put Lena, I believe, it was Ava DuVernay and Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, so they put them on the diversity council, but that's only after Twitter dragged them, because it took 3 days to appoint them as. All they did was say, we're going to allow 10 movies to be nominated. That doesn't mean that to win. Sorry. So 10 movies get nominated, and before it was like up to 5. So now it's 10 Best Picture movies. But the fact is, like, do you guys think that's enough? Just putting Whoopi Goldberg, Ava DuVernay, is that enough? Like, are you really allowing Black filmmakers to be involved? Like, is that enough?
I don't know. Really quick, I want to talk about Jay Pharoah, because in the chat they did mention. Zoe Johnson said that she's a fan of Jay Pharoah, and totally like choked on her coffee when she heard the story, because it's definitely very, very like, oh my gosh. So I 100% agree that was super, super scary. But to talk about the Oscars a little bit, I think that's a step in the right direction. Obviously, we would love for them to jump head first and really take, I guess, measurable action. But that's kind of what we're waiting for. You know, it's kind of like, they're like, okay, this is enough. But if there was measurable action, like at least one film, one Best Picture has to be from a Black creator, or one film has to be from an LGBT creator. Like, if they were really making something measurable and tangible, then yes. So I hope that that's what they're going for with this diversity council kind of thing, that they're going to get some kind of actionable, measurable steps by the next Oscars that we have in 2020, 30. I don't know. COVID is like effing up our lives.
Yeah, well said. I love that.
Yeah, aren't the Oscars going to be like postponed at this point? Like, but no, like, I'm just surprised. Like, why isn't Whoopi Goldberg? Why hasn't she been on like the panel or like the group? Like, I feel like she should have been on it like years prior to this. But like you said, Bryant, like, it is a step in the right direction. So my hopes are high. You know, I hope it just gets better and more inclusive and more diverse moving forward with the Oscars, because they have been very white past some of these past years.
Absolutely. Yep. Oscar So White was definitely trending. And, you know, I think the more conversations we have like this, the better. And we're creating space for change. So I hope that it happens. So stay in the conversation with us. You know, AfterBuzz TV is the ESPN of TV talk. Like, comment, subscribe. Go to Apple Podcasts. Give Gay Twitter 5 stars. We'll be here every week breaking down what's going on in the world. Brian, where can they follow you in the meantime?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok at @TheBrianSantos, and hang around here on AfterBuzz TV if you're a fan of Queer Eye, 'cause I'm doing the Queer Eye After Show right after this.
Anthony,
my husband, my man.
yes, Anthony. And I'm Ollie Jen, and follow me on Twitter and Instagram at OllieDreamer.
Love that. And you can find me at @AmirYas_. And on my Instagram, I do a lot of IG lives, a lot of queer people and BLM activists, so check that out. And on TikTok, AmirYas_. And I'm doing all my next videos, so go check it out. I'm dragging a lot of people. I love you guys. Be safe, take care, and have conversations with your families about BLM and Pride, because listen, we're not going anywhere. So goodbye.
We're here, we're queer, we're staying right here. Bye.
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.